That's the opening bell on Wall Street. The Society for Immunotherapy of Cancer gets the honors today to celebrate Cancer Immunotherapy Month. Here's a live look at the street this morning. Stock futures opened lower amid a global sell-off in tech and rising concerns over the profitability of artificial intelligence. Let's bring in Megan Leonhardt. She's a reporter for Barron's, and she joins us now. Megan, always good to see you. So there are some reports out there that OpenAI might wait until next year to introduce its IPO. What does that tell you, and what does that suggest about the concerns and the volatility of that IPO or even SpaceX?
Well, I do think that SpaceX performance is playing a lot into this. And of course, the market for, AI has been incredibly volatile as well. I'm sure that that is part of this decision. But I do think that, again, SpaceX is really the driving concern here. We obviously saw, the biggest IPO not doing so hot in the last couple of days, last week. So I do think that, a lot of companies are watching that. It is interesting, though, because I do think OpenAI would be an entirely different type of IPO for investors. And I'm not totally sure that we should use SpaceX as kind of a blueprint for how OpenAI would perform. There's very different fundamentals going on here for both companies. And so it is one of those situations where they might be hesitating at the moment, but I don't think an IPO this year is totally off the table yet. It depends very much on how the IPO market shapes up in the next couple of months.
And the AI uncertainty is really starting to also bleed into consumer electronics. Apple and Microsoft are both raising their prices by hundreds of dollars as chip costs soar. How long can we expect these costs to stay? I mean, things tend to go up and not tend to come back down.
Yes, as we've unfortunately been subject to over the last couple of years. Yes, prices go up, they don't come back down. I do think that this is something that we're going to continue to see a lot of companies really talk more about. We obviously have Apple and Microsoft, in the last couple of days saying, look, these chips are expensive and we're going to have to increase prices because of them. I do think that the demand for chips is not going anywhere. This is something that we're going to see play out, not only in consumer prices, but also in inflation. This is something that I think a lot of officials and analysts have really been watching carefully in the data that we're getting out of our inflation gauges, because electrical components have been on the rise, and this is something that is actually pushing up those top line numbers. Obviously oil being the big driver there, but there's a lot of bubbling under the surface with this AI build out. This is infecting not only chips, but also electrical components, broadly speaking, commodities, steel and aluminum prices, copper, all of that is related to this AI build out.
All right, Megan Leonhardt, thank you very much as always. Appreciate you.
Thanks.